Okay, it's Saturday, August the 30th, and as you can see, I'm in the midst of doing some measurements. And frame 3 is missing. I've taken it out. Main reason I took it out is because the way it was sitting is it was pushing out on these battens sufficiently enough to where this particular batten here, no, I guess it was this one right here, was actually resting 7/8 of an inch off of the frame, and the other ones were proportionately the same. And so by removing the frame, these battens now run straight back to the stem at the elevations called for in the drawings. And there's running primarily across the knuckles of frames, the two frame ones, and come across, this is frame 2. And even here, this knuckle is about 5/8 of an inch maybe lower than it should be. And I can adjust for that with cleaning, and that'll make that plank tilt this way a little bit. But I'm digressing. The main thing I'm trying to do here is I've decided that I probably need to do a complete new frame 3 on both ends of the boat. So what I've done here with these rulers, and I don't know if you can see this little light right here, this is a laser I've got over here. I've balanced the laser out and calibrated it so that it's dead level with everything in the garage. And this particular ruler, let me back up. The drawings that are in Garner's book establish a baseline for measuring elevations of various things, shears and places like on the stem where the shear battens are supposed to land. That's all in this part of the drawing. And he's referring to this location right here. The bottom of the boat bottom, inside of the boat bottom right here, where it joins the stem, is 5 7/8 inches here, is the location of what they call the baseline. And everything on all of the drawings are measured this way off of that baseline. So I put this clamp on this measuring stick at the same elevation, starting right here. That beam comes right over here and it just touches the top of this ruler. And this edge of the ruler is running right up and down perpendicular to frame station 3, the line for frame station 3. I've dropped plumb bobs off of these 3 things right down onto the line marked on the floor for frame station 3. And I've taken a level and just simply put it under here, made sure that it was level, and marked down where the level came in touch with the bottom of this, and you know, with it being level. And I did this for all 3 of these at the frame station lines on these battens, which gives me the knuckle locations for, you know, the bottom of these things is where the knuckles will be, is the way I've set up the battens. So the knuckle location will be here for the, this is basically the broad binder knuckle, and this one will be the shear binder knuckle. And then there's not going to be a knuckle with the other plank that comes in here, and that's a whole separate story we won't discuss right now, because it's the first thing I have to do is focus on getting this set up. I thought earlier that I could correct this problem with that frame the frame 3 but if you drop it, just a little bit, it didn't take much, maybe 5/8 of an inch drop to the, and I could put a spacer under here so that it still came in contact with the frame at the right the stem at the right location. It would allow the battens to relax, but the problem was that the bevel of that came up right in here instead of up matching this bevel here. And it was too far off to be able to machine it properly, and I decided that's not the way to go. It's an issue that I can't work my way around. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to remanufacture both frame 3s, and they'll be narrow enough so where they just fit slightly snug to the insides of these battens, and it's the same on both sides. I'm just using this as my measuring location. So I've checked everything time and time again to make sure I understand how this all works, and it does. I've been making up the drawing for the frame. If you can see my CAD drawing here, I don't know how close I can get to the camera, but this shows you where the original frame was on the outside, and the dark red lines are the new frame locations. And I'm just verifying all of these measurements and coordinates and everything like that, and updating my drawings to accommodate it. And I'm also adding notes to the drawings to remind myself. One of the things, for example, is that that's crucial is to know this actual location right here, this intersection of the station line with where the stem elevation really is in respect to the drawing. Because if that stem curve had come around the wrong way, it would have made the actual frame raise or lower itself. And in turning out, looking at all of the detail of it after doing quite a bit of measuring here, this particular intersection right here is only 1/8 of an inch off from what the drawings call for that specific location. One of the other parts about this is a little bit tricky. It's not over the moon, but let me just show this to you. This is frame 3, the old frame 3. And if you'll see, this gusset here that holds both sides of the frames together has to be beveled to match the curve of the stem at the location, because the gusset is actually what the frame, part of the frame that rests on the stem is all about. It's the gusset that is resting on there, not the frame members itself. And getting all of these details, but when you put this bevel in, there's actually a 1/4 of an inch drop in the width of this thing from here to here, from the inside to the outside, and that 1/4 of an inch can be significant if you're not aware of the fact that the surface of the inside of this gusset is the elevation that needs to be sitting at the station line. And so the drawing calls for the gusset to be 4 inches thick, but where you put this gusset on here, and how, just being off of, moving the gusset up a 1/4 of an inch or vice versa can cause a lot of problems in itself. You may think initially, well, the gusset's just holding these two pieces together wide enough to sit the frame on, but the elevation of where that gusset's located in relation to these knuckles is pretty critical. And But I just wanted an update on this, to update everybody on this thing. I have to remake the patterns that I made earlier for frame 3, and I'm in the midst of verifying and triple checking and quadruple checking all of the measurements. And hopefully, once I get this done, I can't work on my problem with the planking and the fairing until I get this particular issue resolved. And getting all of the actual frame bevels trued up. They're all pretty close to being true right now, but there's a lot of fine tuning here and there that I want to get done, including fine tuning of the bevel on the bottom itself, and going around to make sure that the garboard plank will rest flat. Rest snugly on that, and create a good seal. I probably also, along those lines, I've been looking at, there's a product that I've seen on several videos now, that several boat manufacturers or boat builders, amateurs and professionals, have been using, called Sikaflex. There's a fast cure version and a slow cure. And since all of these lapped planks and everything like that, there's a lot of fidgeting that has to be done. And then of course, there's riveting going to be done at the joint of all of these, the planking. And also the driving of the nails into the side of the bottom there has to be done when we get the garboard plank all laid down and the ceiling done. I have to then go through and nail that garboard plank to the bottom with those 10D galvanized nails on 2.5 inch centers. And I'd like the adhesive not to be, it's more of a sealer than it is an adhesive. There is an adhesive quality to it, and it is marine grade for above and below water, the water line, so it should be pretty good. And so I'm just going to use as small a bead as I can, but I'm going to try to get the planing of the bevels done as professionally as I can, and right now they're looking pretty close, but making sure is going to take a lot of scrutiny and fine tuning and tweaking. I'm already playing with the expanding bevel of the stems to make sure that they match up with the frame here. For example, on frame 3, that bevel of the planing of the frame that comes up there matches closely. This is supposed to be it was a 46-degree bevel at this location. As it turns out, with the revised squeezing down of the frame, it sharpens the bevel, and it's now going to be like 49.5 degrees. So there is a slight rebeveling effort needed to be done, and it's going to taper itself from the bottom down to the tip. But, it's all part of the fine-tuning process that I'm learning about. Anyhow, that's about all I've got for right now. I hope this is as explanatory as it can be, but just stay tuned. I'm not getting totally freaked out by all of this stuff. It's taking longer than I had expected, but it's nice to be in a position where I don't have to worry about schedule. I don't have any deadline, so I'll take whatever time it takes to get it done right. Thanks.